Welcome to Force for Growth Live. I'm Ricardo.
I'm Courtney, and good morning. Happy Monday. Before we get started, make sure you're following us on Instagram and Facebook at Force for Growth because we're going to be putting a lot of spicy and juicy topics up there and content you don't want to miss.
For sure, for sure. And for our audio listeners, please leave us some feedback. Go review the podcast if you enjoy it. Leave us 5 stars ideally. We definitely look forward to your feedback so we can improve and make the show better for you and discuss the topics that you want to talk about.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
For those of you tuning in on our personal profiles, the month of February, we're going to start weaning off of the personal profile. So make sure you follow us at Force for Growth on Facebook or on YouTube so you don't miss an episode. I know you guys want like to catch live. We enjoy your comments and your interaction. So make sure you go like our page so you don't miss an episode.
Yes. And if you're wondering what platforms we're on, the whole list is at forceforgrowth.com. So,
Yes.
yes. What do we got going on today?
Wow, Courtney, it's a big one.
It
It's a
is. What do you
big
got for
one. It's
February
always a big
1st?
one, though. It's always a big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, what happens on the 1st of January? We make these resolutions and these goals. And then what happens by the end of January?
We probably are not fulfilling our goals and our
No.
to-dos, right?
And what starts popping up throughout the month of January when we start to talk about our goals and start to talk about our resolutions, quote unquote?
Our annoying friend named excuses.
Yes, that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Four-part series. The month of February is all about excuses,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
it's a big one. February is the perfect month for this, though, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's you've practice you've had your round of practice rounds or 2 rounds if you like to start in December like us. But yeah, you're in it. You're going. So where do you need to drum up more momentum? Where do you need to eliminate what is distracting you? Who are the naysayers you don't need to listen to right now? So you have this whole month of data to sit there and gauge what you need to take with you and what you need to let go.
Yes. Here's one thing: excuses are always available when you're doing something new. Excuses are always available when you're doing something hard. It's
Mhm.
a part of life. And I haven't done research on this, but I'm pretty sure there's probably a study on this, and maybe Ryan will chime in or I'll go look on my library. But I have the feeling, and it's just a gut instinctual feeling, that excuses are might be linked to fight or flight and the response to protect us from harm.
Mhm.
I
Yes.
would
Well,
not be surprised if they're linked together.
I don't have the article ready or the scientific reason, but we do know that the brain only has 2 things that it does. Does this fit into a pattern that I've seen before, and will this kill me? So if anything is fitting into a pattern you've seen before, your brain is automatically like, "Hey, remember when you tried this? This thing's probably gonna happen," or, "Hey, remember you don't have this." So your brain has thousands of excuses ready to go. That's why you shouldn't
Yes.
listen to them right
Yeah.
away, you know?
I'll pull
But
up the research and I'll do a look and see how excuses are linked to keeping ourselves safe, fight or flight, or maybe Ryan, when he tunes in, he'll be able to pull something up for
there he
us.
goes. Ryan's with us. Hey, hey. So while he's bringing that up, I wanted to repeat a question that Mr. Levy Jackson shared with us this morning on our call that was dynamite. Is your environment, are the people around you co-signers on your
Mm,
excuses? Are you a
yes.
co-signer on your excuses? And
Wow.
that's one you might need to sit with because I don't want you to answer it audit. I don't want it to be so immediate because I want thought to go into it. But that's always a cliche or one that I've noticed is that I got to eliminate all excuses because a lot of them are valid. A lot of them, most people around me will be like, oh, well, that is true. Not the hustlers, not the entrepreneurial types, but it's, you got to stop giving in. There's a whole middle ground where you're still believing your own excuses and you need to stop. You need to polish that up and shape it up right there. And it's not going to be pretty, but it will be effective when you do it.
Yeah. That's so powerful because that ties directly to your peer group. What does your peer group expect from you? What are the expectations that certain peer groups have of you? And it can go both ways, not just the positive. You can have a peer group where excuses are not valid. They'll challenge you, they'll push you beyond your excuses. And that could be very uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Or you have another peer group where they thrive on the excuses, where when you try to do something and you fail, they're saying, "Oh yeah, I tried that before. It didn't work. Come over here with us and we'll just talk about how awful our experiences was."
Mhm. Are you shrinking to feel connected?
Yo,
You don't have to shrink to find a connection with somebody, but often that's the vehicle we use is relating on our excuses, relating on our hard times we're going through.
yes, that's
You
a
just
big one,
gotta
Courtney.
pause and notice what you're feeding. You're feeding more of that. And then that person is connected to you on a low denominator. You see, now y'all are connected for a negative reason. Well, that subconsciously in your friendship is always going to be present because that's what it's built on. So it's connections with yourself, it's connections with others, but I mean your environment is massive in this area because when you start to learn and you look up and you see, okay, I think what do they say? You make around what the five closest people around you make around what the average of those five bank accounts are, probably matches yours. I mean, if that doesn't tell you to get off your butt and go, and I'm not saying money, we're not materialistic here, but go find someone who gives so much value to the world that their bank account has way more zeros in it than you are at right now. And I say that because we are limitless with the value we have to give. So if we're sitting there telling ourselves that any excuse, there's not like one that I need to pinpoint at all. You are limiting your value and then you're complaining that you aren't getting that value back. It's all relative. It is all
Yes.
relative.
Yes. One thing, Courtney, that you just said, and Ryan highlighted it, are you shrinking to feel connected? And let me tell you, it's a lot easier to shrink your mindset and your goals and your ideas and your desire to grow and decide not to grow than it is to push through the excuses and grow. It's a lot easier to shrink down and wither up like little, like you're a fresh grape. It's a lot easier to wither up into a little raisin than it is into a great bushel.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's a lot easier. It can be done. It can A grape can make more grapes if you plant it and grow it and all this other stuff, right?
And I
You
don't know
can,
why I feel like I need to twist the metaphor into wine, but you take a grape and you crush it, crushing it goes through something, it creates a process. Well, it creates wine, something many folks enjoy and love for many, many centuries. So it's movement into action, into the next step, into everything. And so excuses just to me mean stagnation, and keep pushing through it because you will find a tribe that will honor your greatness, not your excuses. And
yes.
AKA will call your ass out if it needs to be. And you want that. What was you were talking about Clubhouse. I'm not on Clubhouse because I'm an Android girl. But what will you talk to us about Elon Musk? And he was allegedly on Clubhouse
Oh yeah. Oh
calling
yeah.
some people out last night, but I love what his response was, but I'll let Ricardo tell you.
Yeah, so Elon Musk make his splashed on to Clubhouse last night. People were tuning in. Obviously, when you see Elon tuning in, you're gonna jump in that room on the Clubhouse room. And someone asked him, it's like, what can you tell us to inspire? What can you tell entrepreneurs to inspire us when we want to start a startup, when we want to grow a startup? And
How
I'm
do we
kind of,
stay motivated?
how do we stay motivated? And basically, I'm paraphrasing because I just saw this flying around Facebook this morning. And his response was, if you need motivation and inspiration to have a startup, you're not ready to have a startup.
I love that.
I
Okay.
mean, I mean,
So
but like, here's the thing. Here's the thing. When the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, the guy who created Tesla, the guy who created PayPal, tells you that, it hits home.
mhm.
It hits home. It's like, wow. But
There
that's
was
that gives you an insight to his brain. For a man that is as successful as him to say that, it has to be part of his mindset and his belief system that he does not tolerate excuses. And I know that to be fact because if you want to dive deeper, go check out his biography. It's an amazing biography and it's ripe of examples where excuses are not existent to him.
And I love the word entrepreneur because here's the deal. Entrepreneur is just French for has ideas and does them. So if you have an idea and you're not doing it, you're not an entrepreneur. I say this with love. Stop using that term for an idea you're going to sit on for 5 years. Okay?
Mhm.
The by definition, it's has ideas, does them. Now, it's not in the definition saying every idea works out great the first time, every idea goes perfectly on the first try. No. So just the powers in keep going, keep moving, keep taking a step forward. That is not saying the direction you start is going to be the direction you're going to end, but you don't know until you're halfway on the journey, taking the feedback in the battle, in the arena, you know? So I think I love that that was his. I don't know, that
It's
just sums it up
chilling.
to me because if I'm sitting there waiting and wishing and hoping, I don't get it yet. I'm not
Correct.
ready yet.
Talk about a big slap in the face. Can
Yeah.
you imagine this guy or gal who came up and got called up to ask Elon Musk a question, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get the answer that I've been needing. I'm gonna get the inspiration, the motivation that I've been looking for, so I can get my startup going." And then boom, wow.
Well, I hope they got the message. I hope it
You
took
can't
them.
not get that message. So let's move on here.
Yep.
Courtney, what's one of your biggest excuses?
Mm, I would say time. Time.
Oh,
And one that really is hitting me a lot lately is, look, there's no such thing as time management. There is energy management, there is, priority management. There's all kinds of things, but I can't change the fact that I have 24 hours, only 24 hours, and that's it. And that's always going to, for the rest of my life every day. So we got to stop saying we have this time management, but I still catch myself in the, oh, I don't have time. Oh, this. And so that's the flip I'm working on right now is that a priority to me right now? Yes or
mhm,
no? And be honest with myself instead of lying to myself and that I don't have time. I have time for everything I want to do and nothing I don't if I get my priorities right. But I'm still polishing that, working on
yeah, that's a big one. I think time is probably up there as probably the top 2 greatest hits of when it comes to excuses.
that.
Mine is,
Valid.
am I capable of doing it again?
Mm,
Can I push myself even higher than what I have already done? Am I really capable of doing it? And when you ask this empowering question, big shout out to Tony and the empowering, disempowering questions. When you ask yourself such a disempowering question, guess what your brain does?
it gives you a disempowering answer
Yes, it does.
or it
Yes,
finds
it
data to
does.
support that.
Yes. And what is that data? Excuses.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, we are so our brain is just so ready. Like, really, it could win like the smartest computer in the world to like tell you why you can't do something, but it also holds a power if you flip where you're channeling the energy.
Correct. So that's one of my biggest excuses that, well, that's the question. Let me rephrase that because here's the trap. And I almost caught myself, and this is important for everyone to listen. When I ask myself, am I capable of doing it again and pushing what I'm doing to even a higher level? That's not the excuse, but that is the question that prompts the excuses to come in. That's the question that opens up the window, the not even the window, the door for the excuses to come in. Because any answer that comes out of that question, such a disempowering question, man, those are excuses.
How do you flip that? Will you walk us through how when you feel that coming on, how do you turn it to the positive or focus on momentum versus excuses?
So it's asking the better question, and you get what?
A better answer.
Yes. So the better answer is, what can I do today to push myself to a higher level?
Mm,
Now come things that I can do. Now come things that I can focus on, calls that I need to make, people that I need to connect with, things that I have to look into technology wise in order to really kick it up to the next level.
mhm. I love that. Like,
Instead
if the
of,
reasons
yeah,
I don't have money, okay, well, what resources do you have right now? If it's I
yes,
don't have time, okay, where do you have time? Somewhere you have half an hour you can work on something you're passionate about, like there
correct,
yes.
correct. You can either find reasons as to why not to do something. No, sorry. You can either find excuses to not do something or reasons to go ahead and do it anyways.
Mhm. Yeah.
And but it's all comes down to the question. So take a look at the questions that are running in your head consistently every day, or the statements that are running through your head consistently every day. Courtney mentioned time. Do you always think, I don't have enough time? I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. That turns into an affirmation. And when an opportunity presents itself, what do you think the brain is going to be the first thing that says?
That
I don't
affirmation, I
have
don't
enough
have
time.
time. And as well, stop saying you're the person that's always shows up late. I used to do that. I used to be like, "Oh, I always run late. I'm always the one that I'm the late bee." I used to make these jokes. I was affirming every day that I'm a late person. And
Mhm,
so just flipping it, it wasn't overnight and it had to do with pattern redesign, how I go about things. But like now I'm the on time person, and I always show up on time. I whatever, So you're creating affirmations and anything you put I am in front of,
mhm.
anything, you are
I'll,
drawing your subconscious and conscious into that affirmation. So don't use it as a dagger. Don't
correct.
affirm what you don't want.
I'll quote Neville Goddard. He's an early 20th century self development author, 1900 somewhere around there, and he says, "Let me see if I can remember it. I may forget who I am, where I am, or what I am, but I shall never forget that I am."
Mm, yeah. I've heard Wayne Dyer quote that one by Neville.
Yeah, it's powerful. Whatever you're affirming to yourself with "I am," stop it. Because guess what happens when you start affirming that over and over and over and over again, especially if it's a disempowering affirmation? It can turn into an excuse.
Mhm. Mhm. What is your opinion on how self-confidence is built,
Ooh,
Ricardo?
it's a muscle. It's a muscle, baby. It's a muscle. The more things that you do to make yourself confident, the more confident that you get. And we're working on that in real time with Sebastian because he kind of ebbs and flows on the confidence scale. He thinks he can't do something. He thinks he's not capable. And we're like, wait a second. Remember when you first started playing Minecraft? Yeah. Were you good at it? No. Are you good at it now? He's like, yes, I'm a master. Okay. Were you capable of learning? Yes. Well, if you're capable of learning there, you're capable of learning over here. The best book on that is Mindset by Carol DeWitt. And it talks about, it dives deep. I mean, deep. I mean, deep, 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 deep on the psychological research level about growth mindset and limited mindset.
Mm.
Growth mindset is when you know that you are capable of learning and acquiring a new skill. Limited mindset is when you don't think that you're capable of learning a new skill.
I love that. Thank you for I just knew he'd say something good. Okay, so what I want to point out is that self-confidence and excuses are all on the same scale. Okay, so look at a negative and a positive scale. Let's say this is negative over here. Those are excuses. The stronger it gets, they're autopilot excuses. The weaker they are, right when they're kind of when you're just unsure of yourself, you're not quite sure, and you ask a disempowering question like, "I'm how am I ever going to get this to work? It never works out for me." Your brain's going to spit out 10 reasons why it didn't work in the past or whatever. So, the more you let those sink in, they become automatic and they become just limiting beliefs where your brain doesn't even think it's possible anymore because you've repeated that so long. However, on the positive scale over here, you have self confidence and self esteem. Well, how do you build self confidence and self esteem? Keeping word to yourself and to others. That's literally the formula for how to build confidence is when you say you're going to do something to yourself and no one else can hear that thought in your head, you actually do it. And then your brain has evidence to say, see, Courtney, you did it. Okay. You do what you say, so pay attention because it's on the exact same scale, whether that's confidence or excuses. And so we're masters at how to do it on the negative side. Know that you're a master and flip it because you can use the exact same formula, reverse engineer that, So that's just how I look at it and how I don't having that realization on confidence changed my life. So I want to repeat that in case anyone else is hit home by that. And it's the exact same thing with excuses. So
Yeah.
once again, if you're using excuse as to why you can't be confident, you're mastering the formula for confidence right there. You're just doing it in the wrong direction.
Boom. And that's with mostly everything. Real quick, let's go to the comments. Ryan says, I don't allow my wife or daughter to say I'm sorry when I apologize is correct. It's too easy to go from I'm sorry to I'm a sorry person. Yes,
Yeah.
I
Bingo.
cannot like that enough. That's
Mhm.
like 1,000 times yes. How many times are you apologizing because you don't understand something, because you can't do something, or because of this?
Mhm.
I will say that most of the time that I hear that I'm sorry is when people are apologizing for not being capable of doing something. It's not even really an apology sense. "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just learning this app. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm still just learning how to do this. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm new to this. Oh, I'm sorry. This is only the 3rd time I've done it." Think about that.
Mhm. Ladies, listen up.
Stop apologizing. Stop apologizing for learning something.
Mhm.
Stop apologizing. People are so understanding about technology nowadays, there is no need to apologize when you're in the middle of learning something.
Yeah. And if you are surrounding yourself with people who are pressuring you to get it immediately, that might not be your tribe. So don't cater to it. Don't bow down to it. Don't
No,
feel sorry to yourself when you are fully in motion, growing, facing the challenge, whatever, don't half-ass stuff. But at the same time, like, if someone's getting onto you for not getting it the first time, like, you just gotta get your self-confidence stronger. I don't know, back to the confidence, right?
correct. This
Yeah.
was a great episode,
Thank you,
Courtney.
Ryan, for that. It was, yes.
Part one, excuses. Next week, we're going to talk about some tools on how to overcome excuses. We got several topics surrounding excuses. So make sure you tune in. We'll be back next Monday for another round of excuses,
Mhm.
talking about them, dissecting them, a deep dive into excuses. By the
Yes.
time you get done with this session, over the next 4 weeks, you're going to be done with excuses. And if you don't, we can still help you and
Yeah.
continue to tune in.
Let us know because boot camp's still going. So, yeah,
Boot
I
camp is
like that.
always going.
Yeah, so
Yes.
February, it's Excuses Boot Camp, guys.
Yes.
Join us.
Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Force for Growth.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
again, for other people tuning in on our personal profile, make sure you go like our page, because we're going to start transitioning from the personal profiles to the Facebook page.
Yes. At
Yes,
Force for Growth.
at Force for Growth. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back on, well,
Wednesday.
tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have a short episode.
Yes. Yes.
So for our audio listeners, we'll be back tomorrow, and on live, we'll be back on Wednesday.
Yes.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.